Good to be with you today. Um, First, thank you for everybody helping out at the pork dinner this past Sunday. It was a great success, and again, we can't do that without your help. It was great to see all of you and work alongside of you, and thank you again. So for this meditation, this coming Sunday, we continue to be in the Gospel of Luke. And we're in the 20th chapter. So we're towards the end. Jesus has made it to Jerusalem. Jesus is in the temple. And in this passage, Jesus gets a question from the Sadducees. The Sadducees are a priestly group. They are responsible for the temple. And they come and they try to entrap Jesus. They ask a question that has some attitude of hostility and absurdity to it. And Jesus responds how Jesus responds, at least in Luke, with some grace and some compassion. Can't say I always do the same when people ask me questions that are laid with hostility and just laid with absurdity. I can't say that I always answer with grace as Jesus, so I need to learn from this one. Anyway, the Sadducees, they come to Jesus to ask him a question about the resurrection. Well, first, the resurrection, or any resurrection, is a mystery that the Sadducees don't accept anyway, right? And then the absurdity of the question is, if a woman marries a man and he dies and there's no children, and the Torah tells us that she's now the property of the next brother and their 7 brothers and on, who does she belong to at the resurrection? We have questions about the afterlife, about heaven, about eternal life. There is some assurance here that Jesus answers the question. Now, he does not answer all our questions, right? Number one, he doesn't answer the question who gets it and who doesn't. But he does answer the question to say that there is. But he has this to say about the afterlife. That the afterlife is not a continuation of this life. That this reality, this life in which we see and this we experience, is not the only reality that there is present. He says in no uncertain terms to the Sadducees that this woman that you ask about belongs to nobody but God. That this woman is not property of anybody, not 1 or even 7 brothers. That in eternal life there's a freedom. That in eternal life we are respectful of one another. At the end, right, to answer the Sadducees' question and why they don't believe in the resurrection, Jesus answers them by saying that God is not the God of the dead, but God is the God of the living. That God is the God of Jacob, that God is the God of Noah, that God is the God of Moses, not that God was. We in this world have very limited imaginations about how life can be, about how we belong to one another, about how our relationships are. Jesus tells us it doesn't have to be that way. And in fact, Jesus tells us that eternal life that we all wait for is available right here and right now. that life of ages, that life of abundance, that life with God always and everywhere is possible now. But it's also possible later. Okay? That's the beauty of God. Okay? It's not a God of or, but a God of and. Here and now, and later, and before, all at once. Lots to think about. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts about the resurrection, eternal life. We'll see you next week.